Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And although the video is a little late this evening, we are going to do our full flight in the Cessna Citation Longitude using Microsoft Flight Simulator Beta with the AAU1 update. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come along down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below, and thank you to all of my current subscribers. Okay guys, so yesterday we did a video breaking down the AAU1 update for the Cessna Citation Longitude, going through all of the avionics changes. And today we're actually going to jump into the aircraft and fly it. We're sitting here at the executive terminal at Tucson International Airport, and we're going to take her on over to Los Angeles, California. It's one of my favorite flights to do. I don't know why, it's just a fun flight. Now we are going to be letting the autopilot and the avionics system take care of most of the flying today, as that is obviously what we're interested in seeing and seeing what the difference is. I'm expecting some new enunciations, some different performance, any bugs or issues that we experience on the way. This is going to be completely unedited and unscripted, so if something goes wrong, you guys are going to see it. Even if it's a crash to desktop, I will make sure to include that in the video, and that'll just be where the video ends, but you guys will at least get to experience what happens along the way. So you guys are going to see everything raw footage. So let's go ahead and get into the cockpit, get the aircraft started up, and get out of here. All right, guys, so here we are in the seat of the Cessna Citation Longitude. Now, we do have a flight plan that we are using directly from SimBrief. I just need to get it to the PDF view so it's ready for my use here, and we're going to get things started up. So let's see here. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is set the weights and balances of the aircraft. Specifically the fuel. We're looking at 4670 for fuel today in the pounds. There it is, right on the money. How lucky is that? All right, and we're going to want to pay attention to our MAC at 29.2%. We'll need that later, as well as our weight. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to use right now. I'm going to pull up the Cessna Citation Longitude guide so you guys can see what that looks like. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to do some updates to it. Kind of shocked, to be honest, but here we go. Let's bring that up. Oh wow, let's get that to where you guys can actually see something. How about that? That would probably make things a bit easier. I haven't reinstalled my Adobe stuff since the update. Since I reinstalled Windows. So here is what we're looking for. By the way, guys, again, this is the Citation Longitude guide that I created. This, along with all the rest of my guides, are available on Patreon. They're full flight, extremely detailed. Now, this one, I can tell you right now, just from doing the avionics video yesterday, is going to need some updating. But what we're interested in is this chart right here. So for 28,000 pounds, between 28 and 32,000 pounds, we should be looking at V1 at, and that's here, that's going to be below 4,700 feet. V1 at 109 knots, rotation at 112, and V2 at 124. So we'll have to keep that in mind. And we'll be looking for a stabilizer trim of 4.5 degrees nose up. Okay, so let's see here. And yep, okay. And you guys see how I got that? Well, it's going to be actually more, well, so you figure 29 is actually going to be right around here. So about 4 degrees nose up is what we'll be looking at for that. Okay, so let's let me get that off the screen there for you guys, and let's get back to work. All right, let's close our weights. We got that figured out. Not worried about the payload today. All right, so doing a quick poke around the cockpit here. Parking brake is set. Speed brakes are retracted. Throttles are at idle. Flaps are retracted. We are good for electrical start here. So let's see here. Let's pop on down here. I'm going to move our camera over. There we go. And let's see. You know what is actually kind of a better one? I think I actually prefer something like this for that view. There we go. All right. And you always want to check our switches. You can see left generator is currently on. Right generator is on. APU gen is on. So we're going to turn those off. So standby power now to on, and left and right battery coming alive. Bring the cockpit alive. We'll let the electrical system come to life here. It actually does take a second, so it's kind of nice. Let's see here. And let's come up top. Clear some alerts here. on the MFD. Don't worry, we're going to get in much closer than that. It's just this view is a little bit easier when it comes time to initially setting everything up. Now, one of the really cool things that I showed off yesterday that they did add to all of this was the chimes and everything. So we're going to put on the emergency exit lights. I'm going to tone down the panel lights just a little bit. There we go. And we're going to turn on our safety signs. Tell everyone to have a seat. We can turn our wing lights on. That's about where we're going to sit for the moment. We can turn the floodlight on if you want. And let's see here. Where are we at? So, let's get our ATIS information. This is one of the coolest parts about this. So now we're going to grab our MEDAR information directly from the aircraft. So let's see here. Now it does take me a second. It's been a while, guys. So, or it's been a while. And it hasn't been a while. It's been interesting trying to figure all this stuff out. So I may bounce around from window to window for a second, so just bear with me. I think it's in weight and fuel. No, it is not. It's probably under performance. Let's check performance. Takeoff data. Yep, weather. All right, so we're going to come over here to the weather tab, and we're going to go load MEDAR information. There is our wind, at least. We got 321 at 6 knots, but check this out. We can actually show the MEDAR information. So we have... There it is, 3306 knots, visibility 10, clear, and temperature 7 to altimeter 3004. So, altimeter or temperature is going to be 7 degrees Celsius, which, believe it or not, for Tucson is legit right now. It's pretty freaking cold out right now, I'm not going to lie. And I do not remember, what was it? Altimeter was 3004. Let's go ahead and get that set now while we're thinking about it. So, I like to come up here. Hello. How did that... I don't think I meant to have that view quite that accentuated, so give me just a second, guys. That was a bit further than I had intended when I saved that view. Okay, so let's try that again. So we're going to go here to the barometer. And I hope that said 3004, but we'll double check before takeoff. Or we'll just hit the B key to double check ourselves. Oh, 3002 is what it's showing in the sim, which is entirely possible when it comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator, as we all know. But, okay, so we have our barometric pressure set. Let's go ahead and simulate some clearance. So let's come down and set our transponder code. Actually, you know what? It is easier to do from the TSC. So there's our transponder. Oops, it is in auto mode. And let's simulate 6221 as our transponder code. And it is in auto mode. So it will automatically rotate based on aircraft conditions. So, which makes it pretty handy if you ask me. All right, and let's see here. No takeoff warning, battery discharge. So we do have battery discharge, so we obviously either need to switch to external power or start up the APU. For the sake of keeping things fun, let's turn on the APU. So we're going to come down here, hit the start switch. And from there, we can move forward and monitor APU performance right here. Coming up now at 30%, and you can see the exhaust temperature rising as well. We'll let the APU come to life, and then we'll move on over and start the APU Gen. So give it about another 30 seconds here. More like 10. Okay, there we go. APU Gen on. Beautiful, and you can see the bus tie switches to close because the APU actually only powers one bus. Pilots the A channel, if memory serves. Okay, so we've got APU power, so we don't have to worry about any of that good jazz or anything running out of power on us. It doesn't take us long to set up the flight plan, so we're going to get started on it right away here. We're going to move to home, go to the flight plan, set our origin as Kilo Tango Uniform Sierra for Tucson International Airport. We're going to set our destination as Kilo Lima Alpha X-Ray as our destination. Moving on over to the procedures, we're going to be departing using the... Let me switch over to our flight plan on SimBrief. We are coming out of the Wildcat 3 today. Wildcat 3 using the Gila Bend transition, departing from runway 29er right. So we're going to hit load. We're going to go back to procedures, come up on arrival, and we're going to be looking for the Hollywood 1. And there it is right there. There's our Hollywood, and we are going to be using the Eastwood transition, coming in, expecting runway 24 right today. Perfect. All right, hit load again, and we're going to go ahead and set our approach as well. Approach today, we are looking for ILS 24 right. We're not going to come in on vectors. We're going to use CVU as the initial approach fix. And minimums are going to be 236 feet based on the chart. All right, and load once again. And that's totally fine. All right, so we have all of that good jazz set and locked in for us here. Let's see what it has our cruise altitude set to. So by east wind, or eastwood, not east wind. Let's see here. That's our descent phase. Beautiful. This is so cool how it does this. I love it. And that's a restriction. So altitude restriction, we need to be at 31,000 feet there. So it just makes it so cool. This is so badass. All right, and I'm not going to worry about entering in the cruise altitude. Everything else looks good. We have our initial climb out. Need to be above 3,200 feet once leaving the runway. Anything lower than that, and boom, if you catch my drift. All right, so let's go back to the home page here. And let's see if I can remember how to do all this. This is where things start getting interesting, and this is where I'm definitely going to have to update the longitude guide. So first, we're going to come over here to the takeoff data. And again, we saw our weather information. We already entered in all that. We can see our runway information here, elevation, as well as runway heading. So we're going to take our runway heading information. Since we're already here, I'm going to actually use the Class Echo here, guys. It is a very, very handy tool. And I'm going to change our heading to the 306. Let's go the other direction. You can see the heading under the TA only there on the left-hand side, changing as we start rotating. Oop, went too far. There we go, 306, so now we have our runway heading lined up in there. So in case we need to use heading mode and fly the runway heading, we already have the bug set for us. Let's go to takeoff configuration. We're looking for flaps 1 today. Anti-heist will actually be on. It is pretty darn cold, which means it's going to get even colder as we climb. Actually, we'll leave anti-ice off for now, but we will be turning it on before takeoff. All right, and again, if you need to change it, you can hit use default and it'll switch it back to what it was, but in our case, we're going to use it like this. All right, and we've got all of our origin information, and you have access to the flight plan page from here. Let's go full view here, guys. You guys can sort of see what the flight's going to look like. So let's just zoom out a bit. Pretty short and sweet. Honestly, the longest leg is really from Roscoe to GBN to the Gila Bend, maybe up to Eastwood, but then after that, it starts happening pretty quick. We should be expecting a descent somewhere right around Hollywood or Midler, as where we're expecting the top of descent today, but we will actually see that on the MFD automatically, I believe, now once we get to our altitude. Let's take a look at our speed bugs here. This is what we were talking about earlier, so let's go ahead and actually back out just a second. We need to go back to the takeoff data page, I believe it was. And, oh, nope. I think it's because our engines are not started. We need to reset some of this. So let me make sure I have everything. Everything's set there. Everything is set there. Oh, takeoff weight. That's what's missing. So let's go into weight and fuel. There we go. So crew stores, looking at total crew and stores, 450 pounds. We're all a bunch of skinny people. Yeah, right. Cargo, let's go ahead and say we have 325 pounds of cargo on board today. Takeoff, fuel on board. We've already set our fuel in the sim. There is our fuel here. We're going to go ahead and say fuel on board sync. This takes it directly from Microsoft Flight Simulator and pulls it from the aircraft channel. Okay, and you can see your weight in pounds and total gallons on board. Okay, and now let's go back to landing. And from this point here, 148 gallons, 992. That is actually correct for right now. So let's go ahead and move that down. I do not remember entering that. Interesting. Alrighty, so let's go back to takeoff data, and now you can see takeoff data is now highlighted now that we entered in our weights and balance. So here we have our V speeds. So I'm not particularly happy with these V speeds. You got 95 knots V1, rotation 105 and 123. But given the fact that we haven't tried these before and seeing if the aircraft is actually going to use that, we can either accept it or we can change it. So I'm going to show you guys both. If we want to accept it, you would just hit accept at that point. But we're going to go over here to speed bugs, and I'm actually going to change it according to what my chart, what my guide says, and we're going to see if that performance is ridiculous. I think my chart, the way that I use that, does run a bit on the faster side, but I kind of prefer it that way. I think it works a little bit better. And actually, this is a bit faster. I think these are the default numbers. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to kick this down to 109 knots here for V1. And we're going to talk rotation at 112, so 112. And we're going to call V2 at 117 knots. And FTO does stay the same at 185 knots. FTO is the maximum roll speed. So by 185 knots, you need to get the aircraft off the ground or you risk damage. And obviously at almost 200 miles an hour or over 200 miles an hour, that could be catastrophic. All right, so let's go ahead and now go back. And we're going to go back to the takeoff data. Interestingly enough, it didn't accept my number. So I'm kind of wondering how I edit those. That's interesting. I would have thought it would have been from the speed bugs, but this is for the FMS. And again, guys, this is my first time. I have not flown this. This is all new to me. I wanted to make sure to set everything for you guys. Headwind 6 knots. Although it's got the right crosswind of 2 knots, got our takeoff weight 57. You know what? Maybe we should just let it do its magic. I'm going to follow. All right, we're going to follow it. So in that case, we should probably 95, 105, 123. Oh, and it did. Nice. All right, so it automatically checked that when we did that. Interesting. So I'll have to look in later on and see if there's a way to manually edit those other than what we did and just say, you know, maybe we just don't click accept. All right, so that is our flight information all complete. Now you could walk through a whole bunch of other stuff, guys, here. We can come in here and we can go into, for example, not setup, avionics setup. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Aircraft systems, I think it is. There we go. So we can do the exterior lights from here, which is handy if you want. I still like using the overhead panel. It's more fun. And again, a bunch of engine configurations, cabin pressure stuff. Oh, there we go. It's even got the 119 feet for LAX. So even threw that in there for us. What was I looking for? That's not what I'm looking for, though. I'm not finding what I was trying to find. It wasn't takeoff data. Weather, runway, load. Where it was asking about... I could have sworn it was in utilities. Huh. Maybe I'm losing my mind. I thought there was something that I wanted to go back to and look, but anyway, this is where some of this gets confusing. Is there's so many screens now that I have to admit it gets a little daunting. Oh, look at that music. I can't wait to see what they do with that. That's going to be cool. Okay. All right. Enough chatting. So now at this point, we've got our APU set. We've got everything else ready to go. I'm going to finish the cockpit startup or preparation. Let's go ahead and clear that. And we're going to come down here and I'm going to set the FMS as our navigation source. Let me get some of this stuff off the screen here. Why did it do that? That was weird. Anyway. Alright, so we got the FMS set. Cast messages, yep, that's all to me expected. Other than that, I think we can turn our flight directors on. We'll go ahead and set our initial altitude. Let's do that. We're going to go up to start out at 16,000 feet. Okay. Speed, we're going to let the FMS take it, assuming that I don't mess things up. Okay. And other than that, I think we are good for startup. Can't think of anything else we'd be missing at the moment. So, let's go up top. And we're going to turn those anti-collision lights on, let the world know, hey, the plane is getting ready to start. I would not try to cook a hot dog right now. And stepping on back here, this part is very simple. Open up the cover, hit the start switch, or the run switch, and then hit the start switch. Okay, and from here, we will be monitoring engine performance right here. Once the engine reaches idle, we'll start number 1. All right, let's hit rinse and repeat for number 2. Actually, I guess technically that was number 2, so let's start number 1. So there's the run switch, there's the start switch, back up front, monitoring the engine performance. All right, beautiful. 2 good starts. So now we're just going to step right on down here, do a reset on the left gen, flip it up, do a reset on the right gen, flip it up. That should solve the gen lights, as you guys can see there. From there, we can turn off the APU gen, step on back again, peek our head down a little bit further, shut the APU down. Awesome sauce, right? Coming up top here, I'm going to go ahead and turn the recog lights on the taxi light. We're going to get ready to go. And we're just going to do a quick check here, make sure that I haven't missed anything. So, No takeoff config. That is because we still do not have the flaps down. So honestly, if we want, we could go ahead and set the flaps, but much like with the TBM, I believe standard practices, they don't normally drop the flaps until they're just about ready for takeoff, simply because they're so close to the ground. You know, you don't want any debris kicking up and pegging the flap surface. But, I mean, I suppose in simulation, it's all up to you guys. Okay, so we're just going to do the last few checks here. Oh, you know what? And see, this is why we did this. I forgot to set the takeoff trim. So let's go ahead and pull back. Remember, we are looking for 4 degrees. You know, I almost wonder. Hang on one second. I want to try something. I'm playing with stuff, guys. I'm sorry. I totally am. So you guys are going to have to forgive me. Part of this makes it fun. I am messing around with the class Echo that you guys know I absolutely freaking love. And I couldn't remember if I had the ability to control the trim setting from that. Just thought it'd be kind of neat. Just playing with things. This is how I learn stuff. This is why I'm always playing with things. There we go. Close enough. There's 4 degrees. Alright, so we got our takeoff trim set. FMS is set. Flight plan set. Barometric pressure set. Transponder set. Taxi lights are on. Recog lights are engines are both running. Guards are closed. APU is off. Anti-ice we will leave off until we're ready for takeoff. Other than that, taxi lights set. Alright, I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do us the honors here. Release that parking brake. And start adding some power. The nice thing about it being nice and cold outside here in Tucson is that should make for a pretty smooth flight out as long as the wind stays calm. Nice crisp days like this, you just glide out. Oops. Wrong line. I did tell you guys at the start of the video this is late at night, so you guys have to kind of forgive me. So far, I am thoroughly impressed with this new avionics suite, guys. If you guys take a look at some of the cool stuff that we can see here while we're in taxi, you know, look at the awesome coloring that has been done now on the PFD here. Look at the comm information. Now you even have KTUS clearance here. The CAS message is so much cleaner here. Just the overall layout in general. I love the engine colors. And I will show you guys in a later, or maybe when we're up in airborne, you can actually check all the control surface and everything like that directly from here, and it's all functional, hydraulics, electric. I didn't go through all that today because I'm really interested in how the aircraft flies. I broke down all that stuff yesterday, guys, in the previous video. I'll try to make sure to put a link to it down in the description, or hopefully a card will pop up at some point during the video, assuming that I remember to do it. Admittedly, so I'm terrible about remembering that kind of stuff. I really am. But if not, just check out the video from yesterday, and hopefully you guys will find what you're looking for. It is a full breakdown of the avionics suite and all the cool changes that came with this particular aircraft, although I probably shouldn't be taxiing at 30 knots. So let's pull that back just a hair, shall we? But I'm very excited to give this plane a try today. And again, we are taking off using FMS speed, so hopefully that works right. Let's see here. We'll let it do its thing here. Alright, getting ready to take the runway here. Came a little off course trying to get the recording started. I'm going to stop right here for just a second. We're going to go ahead and set flaps 1. Notice the no takeoff. Once I set the takeoff configuration, went away. We're also going to step on over here, and these are our anti-ice. I'm just turning them on. There we go. And we're also going to bring the landing lights on. Notice that it turns off the recog and the pulse lights. And let's take the runway. We'll do one last check of the barometric pressure. Now it's showing 3004, interestingly enough. I am noticing a bit of stuttering, and I wanted to show you guys something here that I saw earlier, and we can thank FS2020ers in his channel that I wanted to remember to try. So apparently, to release a lot of the stuttering, we can go down to data and delete your rolling cache. So let's do that real quick. See if that doesn't help. Hit apply, hit OK. Okay, so let's see here. Final checks. I think I'm happy with everything. Let's get after it, I guess. The only thing I think I want to see, there's the traffic map. And there's one other thing that I want to see. Oh, there we go. Let's go to split, traffic. Actually, let it roll in auto. If it wants to do auto too, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, let's do it to it. So, we're going to hope that we get everything right here. So, I'm going to power up. And we're going to go toga. Interesting. That does not seem to be working, so we're going to be flying manually for a second, and it just reset all of my stuff. Flight level control, nav mode. Alright, we're going to fly manually for now. So there's max throttle. We'll figure out the toga later. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. There's our rotation. Positive rate, landing gear up. Trying to stay with our flight directors here. Flaps up. Toga may have initialized. It did not. Interesting. So engaging the autopilot's being a little tricky. Alright. It's her plane. Okay. So flight level change worked just fine. Toga and the auto throttle did. I'm not sure what I did wrong there. What I'm willing to bet is the procedure may have changed. So it's kind of hard to say. I saw the TO pop up here on the PFD, and I've never seen that before. So like I said, guys, none of this is rehearsed. This is all new information for me. So some of this is a little tricky. I do like that once we got airborne, flight level change worked just fine and caught the altitude restriction, or the speed restriction. So that was good. That's good. So now, let's see here. I'll just keep climbing for a minute. I think I'm actually going to go back to full. Oh, check that enunciation out. Turn left 270 in 4 seconds. 3 seconds. That is awesome. So now it gives you step-by-step enunciation. Beautiful. I love it. How about that, guys? That looks gorgeous. Passing through 10,000 feet. Let's get those lights off. Pulse light and recog back on. We've now, the FMS now changed speed automatically at 280 knots, so the aircraft's leveling out so we can increase its rate of climb. Auto throttle does not seem to be working still. There it goes. Okay, so now auto throttle's engaging. Okay, so it's got to be something about that I was doing wrong on takeoff that was making that different. But now she's going to climb like a rocket, so let's get that altitude target up. Let's take her all the way up to cruise at this point. Let's go to 32,000 today. now it's going to be ridiculous. Alright, we just ripped past 18,000 feet like it wasn't even there, so we're going to go ahead and set us to standard barometric pressure. Everything else is looking beautiful, guys. It's running solid. Absolutely solid. What a cool freaking plane, man. This is rapidly going to become my favorite aircraft, guys. I am so grateful they did this. I am so grateful. Although, hey, that's not right. Let's get that back to standard as well. Cool. There we go. Working Title. Gosh, they are such monsters. Guys are just amazing. The number of aircraft and adjustments they brought to this simulator that just absolutely shook the game is phenomenal. These guys really know how to do a sim. Alright, let's come down here and peek at a couple things. So, one of the cool things like I was telling you guys about earlier, let's see if I can find it. So, I think I told you guys about propulsion. Oh, we already went through these displays. But one of the cool things... Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I was making sure. I was like, can you start the APU from here? Here we go. So there's our electrical performance. Check this out. This gets so cool. All the electrical performance. Hydraulic performance. Fuel burn. Fuel rate. Fuel remaining. Anti-ice systems. Even tells you the temperature of the surfaces. Bleed air. Flight controls, which yes, they absolutely work. Same thing with the brake accumulator pressure. The only thing about the brakes, you got to make sure if you're testing this on the ground, you got to have parking brake disabled. Pre-flight, check this out. Engine shutdown, dry motor, gives you timeout, and full summary of current aircraft condition. Look at all this. I mean, the stuff they added is just amazing, and they have absolutely given me a ton of freaking work to do on my guide. But this is going to be fun. This is going to be a ton of fun to do. Got the G1000 NXI guide just about wrapped up. And then now we're going to go back to the longitude guide, get it updated and current, because damn, there's a lot. And we're coming up on cruise now. So let's get back to our map settings here. I'm going to go back to the full screen again. I just prefer the full screen. And we're not even at Gila Bend yet, so we got a ways to go here. But there it is. Cruise altitude has been achieved. So I'll tell you what we will do before we take a break is let's come on down again. And we're going to go to the MFD. So let's back up just a little bit. You know what? I need to save this. See, but that's the problem. I guess that will work. It's going to have to. We'll save this as one of our views here. And so let's see here. We're going to zoom in. Actually, let's do this. Let's press it first. And let's... I wonder if there's a way to use that. There it is. Check this out. So let's move the cursor right there. Now, you guys remember before, with the G3000, G5000 suite from Working Title, you still had to go and enter in all of your VNAV information. You had to tell it what your descent points were, tell it your descent altitudes, what your target altitude was in order to get top of descent. We haven't done any of that, if you guys recall. Okay, check this out. There's top of descent right there. It says TOD right after Hollywood. So all that information is now calculated for us. Now, you can still go in and edit it if you needed to. If you needed to change an altitude restriction, you could still come in here, select on any one of these boxes, and adjust your altitude as necessary. Okay? Or you can come into VNAV, and you can also change the profiles. So, for example, let's check our cruise profile. Mach 0.81, that works for me. And descending at 300 knots, Mach 0.80, 3-degree glide slope maintaining, and then getting down to 250 knots below 10,000 feet. So this is going to be awesome. Terminal area, 3,000 feet, 200 knots. Dude, this is great. So it's going to plot our speed and everything as well as we descend. And all of those profiles are editable. You can edit the any of those profiles. We're getting a little bouncy up here, aren't we? And you can see also automatically the speed rating changed from indicated airspeed in knots to Mach rating. Before, we used to have to manually change that right around between 25 and 28,000 feet. We don't have to do that anymore. So that's also really nice as well. See what engine performance showing about 80% there is target. Airspeed's maintaining 294 knots. I'm pretty happy with this, guys. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to catch you guys as we get a bit closer to the top of descent. And really all we're going to do at this point, and we could even set it now, is I'm just going to make sure that we don't have the same altitude. I'm going to start with a target of 10,000 feet and enter VNAV. And when we reach the top of descent, the aircraft should automatically begin its descent according to new behavior. So we'll see what happens as we reach Hollywood. So I'll catch you guys in just a bit. All right, so real quick, I want to show you guys a quick bug that I ran into. Normally at cruise, what I do with these videos, and by the way, yes, in case anyone says anything, I am aware that we should be at like 40,000 feet, not 32,000 in the longitude. I just want to make sure everyone understands I'm very clear on that. But anyway, normally at cruise, what happens is I will speed the sim rate up, right? That way we can get to the top of descent, I keep the video going, all that good jazz, and I'm not actually here for 4.5 hours, doing a flight. So here's what happens when you increase the sim rate in the longitude currently. Watch the indicated airspeed. So this is at 8 times normal speed. And it will just keep going and keep going and keep going. So what you have to do, though, is that the aircraft clearly doesn't register that that's what's happening. Because watch, if I pull the speed brake back, slow us back down, you see the throttle's coming forward to compensate. So what you have to do is you have to sort of cycle it back and forth until you get down to where you need to be. So that's kind of a drag, and I hope that's something that gets addressed. Again, this is the beta version, so some of these things are to be expected, but I did want you guys to be aware of that. Alright guys, so it is confirmed. We passed the top of descent and the aircraft began descending automatically. We had our altitude set below our current cruise. VNAV was enabled, and as soon as the aircraft reached top of descent, it automatically began descending. So everything's working perfectly, guys. This is beautiful. So at this point, I'm probably going to see you guys closer to 10,000 feet when we get closer to the approach. Obviously at 18,000 feet, we will change the barometric pressure to whatever it is currently. But I'll see you guys as we get down. Okay, we're passing through 24,000 feet here, and I figured this would actually be a good time to take a look at the performance pages for landing. So let's see what we have to worry about here. Oh, destination. That's not right. Weather. WT's working title source? Weather source? What is this? Current? Choose current. And runway, we're going to be coming in on 24 right. Okay. Weather. Load MEDAR. Look at that. And this time it grabbed the temperature. That's nice. We even got our barometric pressure, 3012. Landing config, full flaps, anti-ice off. Auto throttle off. Thrust reversers. Oh, stowed. Guess we're not going to be using thrust reversers on this landing. We probably will, but I won't configure it. Thrust reversers are just cool. You just can't. And look at this. Final reference speed 104 knots. Approach speed 113 knots. Accept it. There's our speed bugs in place. God dang, this is cool. Oh, man, they did amazing with this. Gosh, they did amazing with this. Mercy, mercy, mercy. And then while we're here, let's go ahead and move over to the Pilot TSC. And let's take a look at some nav radio information. So audio and radio, let's go nav 1. Now, I need to remember what LAX's ILS frequency is. So I'm going to pull up Navigraph charts here for just a second. It's the only thing I'm grabbing from it, so I'm not going to show that just yet here. Let's see here. Let's grab that. Let's look at... Oops. Clicked back in the sim. Hang on. Come on. And let's see here. We want 109.9, I believe. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me make sure we got the right runway here. ILS 24 right is what we're coming in on. So let's check that. Should be the same. Nope. Oh, wait. That's Santa Monica. That's fine. Oh, there it is. 108.5 is what we're looking for today. So let's go ahead and throw that in nav radio 1. 108.5. Go ahead and drop an enter in there. And let's see here. We need to swap it. So let's transfer. There we go. And when we're ready, we'll turn on nav 1. Actually, I guess we can turn it on now. We'll just switch the pilot source later. Cool. Easy stuff, man. Easy stuff. This thing's running beautifully, and we're just coming up on 18,000 feet. So just about time to change our barometric pressure, but I'll do that as we pass through it, and I'll catch you guys a bit closer to 10,000. All right, folks, the magic is starting to happen here, so let's go ahead and bring that altitude down a bit further. We're going to take us down to 3,000 feet here. Ow! And let this thing continue on descending. All right, and we are now passing through 10,000 feet. You know, I kind of want to see if the landing lights come on automatically. I don't think they do, but kind of curious. This is such an automated system. Oh, what the heck happened? Our barometric pressure never changed. What happened? Uh-oh. Oh, the B key isn't working. Can I switch it back? There it goes. Oh, my bad. So I still had to kick it out of standard, but then it worked. Oops. That's what I get for cheating with the B key. Okay, no, it didn't tell landing lights on, but we'll throw them on now. There we go. All right, and we are on point here. This is so freaking cool. This whole flight has been, I mean, the worst thing, like I said, is that, so even with the bug that I showed you guys earlier with increasing the sim rate speed, there is a workaround. It still requires you to be there managing it, but so I increased the speed, disabled the auto throttle, pulled the throttle back, and I kept having to trigger the speed brakes to keep it under the right speed, but I was able to increase the sim rate and not spend the full time flying. And again, I mean, it's 9:30 at night here, guys, so like there were limits. Just take a moment with me, guys, and appreciate this VNav. Look how perfectly it is following it, and it's got the altitude restriction. This is so freaking cool. All of our readouts down over here, approach speed, final reference speed. Absolutely stunning. And let's see here. What's our distance to the airport now? Now about 20 miles. So I'll tell you what, let's do approach mode. Oh, no, I can't do approach mode yet. Disregard. Let's do nav source. There's the localizer. Right on track. Approach mode. And once we get down to 3,000 feet, the aircraft's also going to slow us down automatically to 200 knots. So I'm going to start getting us ready. We're probably just going to stay on the recording the entire way through, guys. So if there's any particular part from here on out, see the glide slope diamond there. We're a little bit below it now. Localizer's tracked. Bottom of descent showing here. I love this. I love all the information. Bottom of descent I think was there in the previous versions, but I don't know. I'm loving looking around, seeing everything now. That was me getting on the rudder pedals. There's 3,000. And you can see our airspeed indication just changed. Target is now 200 knots. Aircraft is slowing down. Glide slope diamond is coming down. Glide slope has been acquired. All right, let's start making some magic happen. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go flaps 1. I'm actually going to put the speed back over into manual mode now. We've seen it work. It's working beautiful. And I'm going to start slowing us down to about 150 knots. You got to be allowed to have some fun here. And we're not slowing down near as fast as I want, so we're pulling that speed brake out. Because flaps 1 are already set. Below 200 knots, I'm bringing the gear down. Taxi light on. I'm going to go flaps 2. Speed brake coming in. Alright, disengaging auto throttle, I'm taking control. And that's just because it's fun. The aircraft has certainly proved herself at this point. And going for flaps 3. Looking for our approach speed now. Coming down to 113 knots. And now at landing configuration. Autopilot's disengaged completely. We're flying for ourselves. Ooh. That was my fault. Bumped the stick. Pretty good approach so far. About 5 knots fast. A little low on the glide slope, not too bad. Got a little low, got a lot low now. That sucks. Oh well. Alright. Looking for a little flare. Ooh! Well, that was supposed to be better. Reversers are deployed. And there she is, guys. A completed flight from Tucson to Los Angeles. An absolutely amazing time. That was a beautiful flight. The aircraft did phenomenal. This new avionics update and aircraft update was a dream. No more mods are necessary as far as I can tell. Approach plans were great. Speed ratings were awesome. That was a ton of fun. It's a great aircraft. Absolutely stunning. Working Title, I hope they're very proud of themselves because damn, they kicked some ass. So we're going to go ahead and cross here. Flaps are coming up. Landing lights coming off. And that is where we will call it for today, you guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you've found some new love for the Longitude. Even if you're not on the beta version, you guys can expect access to this sometime in early January is the goal, last I heard. I don't believe that information has changed. If you're on the beta, jump on the Longitude because this is too much fun. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy. Love you all. See you in the next one.